Recording my rant number 3. I wanted to have something to say. I was planning on preparing something to say, but I decided to freestyle this one again. It's just me. It's the way I operate. Sometimes it's better to be off the cuff so you can get all the BS out of the way. And this is actually take 4 of number 3. On the first take, I was talking about how this was my sober month, so it's a testament to my will, and I know how weed will loosen me up, where everything on the back of my mind can come to the forefront of it, and I can speak focused. I just want to be thankful for a plant that God gave us that offers more than just a good time. It's a non-steroidal, antidepressant, anti-inflammatory, fumant, and if I have to elaborate on that, if you have to use the bathroom and smoke some weed, it will buy you time. Relaxing your bowels, relaxing your mind from, oh, I gotta use the bathroom. Pain and joint medication. A creative stimulant, an appetite suppressant, an agitator. The second rant was trying to, I was going into talking about what I wanted to do, and I was working on something earlier, but I wanted to get war out before love, because love is something short and sweet, where war is, I don't want to say eternal, but the longevity of it, it's so deep. And then my fourth take, I wanted to practice stand-up, so I started heckling an invisible audience, so I went everywhere. But I'm only a good heckler when I'm being heckled. If no one's heckling me, then hey, I just sound like a jerk. I don't like that. I like to be a nice guy. I deliberately program myself so I can be a happy-go-lucky guy. And I know I have a cliche saying, luck is for those who don't know how to make it. And I evolved it, luck is for those who don't know what they're doing. And I decided to stop all that. So on take 5, I'm just gonna be alive. I'm gonna flow and see where it goes. Now yesterday, I received a package. But the day before, somebody intercepted my package and then sent it somewhere else and tried to blame the people who sent me the package. And after looking at the invoice, they were wrong. But whenever you go to 313 East Broadway, that post office, there's something wrong there. Mail tampering to the highest of degree. And I don't want to delve into that. That's for a different issue, a different post, not for my rant, more of my complaint. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk about the contents in my package. And I'm not talking about the metals in my body either. I just recently found out that, by the way, there's a lot of metals going on in your groin region. And it's not just the blood. There's a lot of alkaline in there. But inside the package contained 3 items. 1, Jeet Kune Do MMA gloves. 2, Gung Fu shoes. It says Kung Fu. But I like saying Gung Fu because to me, the martial arts should encompass everything, every weapon, including firearms. and some awesome Bruce Lee shorts. Now I'm saving all of that for when I take a trip. I'm going to display them with pride as I find the heaviest object I can and start beating on it, breaking everything in. Now I might be a little hesitant with my shoes, but let's see how it plays out. I like to go with the flow. But these gloves, these were the gloves that Bruce Lee was using in Enter the Dragon. And I only tried on one because when I got the package, everything was, the gloves were out. One glove was out of the package completely. And I found that odd. But when I put this glove on, at first I wasn't sure because the finger guards didn't extend all the way, but I know they're meant to curb the fingers. So I take it, I put it on, and I see the Flying Man logo, and the Bruce Lee doing a dragon kick, and it's like putting on a gauntlet. I don't need no Infinity Stones with Bruce Lee on my wrist. So I try out I go to the a cement pillar or column, and I just one strike just. And when I hit it, I knew I connected solid. I'm like, I'm gonna like these gloves. Just making a complete fist, and they're semi-bulky. It's bigger than the 4-ounce gloves. It feels like a boxing glove and an MMA glove. I love them. I love them, and I haven't even broke them in yet. I mean, I have MMA gloves and I have boxing gloves, and it's just the perfect combination of both. And I like how thin the shoes look. I haven't opened the box yet. I'm waiting. The shoes are real thin, and I like shoes with not a lot of cushion, because I wanna feel when I hit something. And I just can't wait. I cannot wait to put those on my feet. I'm gonna kick a pole and see if I can start a fire, cause a spark so massive that everything around me explodes, draw lightning from the heavens. And maybe I'll make a note. 2 days ago, I was banned from Facebook again. Some homosexual was antagonizing me. And they banned me again. But he tried to use my life as an insult. And my rebuttal was always the same. I'd rather be me than you. You'd rather be me too. I'm free. And it's not free of responsibility, because I have lots of responsibility, and always the weight of the world is on my shoulders. But I'm free to be myself. I'm free to program myself. I'm free to act in my very best nature. Even if it's showing a different spectrum of good. That dark gray. I was always a nice guy. When I came to LA, I have to show that gray side. You don't get light. And it only occurred when I came to Glendale. When I first got to Los Angeles, I ended up in Skid Row. And I thought it was great. I was like, wow, this place is surreal. I mean, tents everywhere, people living on the streets are blocked off. I'm like, yo, if this was Miami, the cops would have came in with batons and assault rifles and just cleaned house. Rolling in with bulldozers and shit. You got shit on buildings. Y'all shitting on the building? Bulldozer, bam. But I started off on Skid Row, and despite seeing a knife fight my second day, it wasn't really a knife fight. It was more of like a conflict that was settled with words and actions. But overall, I got blessings when I was down there. I found a nice spot with my name literally right on it. Within a few days, I was blessed with a tent. I mean, I was prepared. I brought food. I brought everything I would need to survive on the streets. I found a great location. I would march from 8th Street to the library. What was like in between 8th and 9th and CC. I think that was CC. It was like between 8th and 9th and CC, and it was Jonathan. It's downtown Los Angeles. If you're familiar with the area, I was all the way in the end of Skid Row. And I grabbed my bags and I marched my way to the library, cutting through, looking for weed everywhere I go, collecting all the roaches and eventually smoking. As a matter of fact, I see you, Dexter Morgan. Anyway, stop distracting myself. So when I'm on Skid Row, actually before I even got to school, as soon as I got off the Greyhound bus, I find weed. And as I'm sitting there collecting on the weed, I'm not sure if it's legal, like, cause I know medicinally it's legal. And my peace pen, I don't have it on me right now, cause my sober mind. I got my peace pen on me. I find some weed. Everywhere I go, I find weed. I wake up in the morning, I go find weed. I wake up to go to the store and I go find weed. I mean, just the other day, I found a whole joint. I thought it was a cigarette. I'm like, man, that looks like a cigarette. I looked at the filter. I'm like, that looks like a cigarette. Let me see. I rolled the tip a little, and I was like, it's weed. It's a big ass joint like that, and the filter was just weed coming out of the filter. But anyway, so I go to Skid Row. I'm blessed with the tent. Some dude just got out. He's like dragging a tent around. He's like, hey, are you homeless? I'm like, yeah. He's like, you need a tent? I'm like, I don't got one. Sure. He's like, what's wrong with it? He's like, nothing. He's like, I just got housing, and I'm just trying to bless somebody with this. I'm like, awesome, thanks. Consider me blessed. He's like, yeah, man. We parted ways. I found me a nice spot, secluded. And then I go to the library, and I have one thing on my mind. I'm going to go to WME. I'm going to drop off some screenplays. Then I'm going to come to Glendale, go pitch an idea to GFC, Glendale Fighting Club, see how everything plays out, and then head north. But when I got to Los Angeles, downtown Los, it was a surreal experience. It was so beautiful. Like the people, it was a mixed bag of people. The majority of homeless people looked out for each other. Everybody was cool. People smoking weed with each other. It was peaceful, man. It was beautiful. Being in downtown Los Angeles, I'm like, hey, I've seen some of these videos on the internet, you know? And then I just had this creative burst. I came up with the concept of a TV show. Oh, however, it's something fluid. It can be anything. It can be a comic book, a TV show, or a movie, screenplay. And then I came up with these other short stories, and I met a couple cool people, shared my talent with them, tried to find an agent, somebody somebody's going to represent a bum. To WMEING. Now me, with everything that I love, it always comes together. The last rant I talked about was corn and baby metal together. Well, corn is universal. Corn and Angelina. I mean, and just yesterday, I know this is old news, but I saw it from. I was a week late. Salma and Eminem. That's my expression. I ever run into Salma Hayek, that's gonna be my Pinot. Salma Hayek Pinot. That's gonna be my expression. Like, oh shit, is this real? Am I awake? Act cool, man. Act cool. Things like that. I love how things that I gravitate towards creates another gravity. But when WMEING purchased the UFC, I was like, man, because my ambition was always to go to the UFC, but no one's gonna let a bum fight. So I figured this is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna be a screenwriter. I'm gonna write a bunch of screenplays. I'm gonna be known for writing screenplays. And then work my way in, bump a few elbows, ask a few favors. Hey, can I fight in the UFC? But I'm not asking for a favor. I'll pay my way to fight. I'll pay you to let me fight in that octagon. I was like, ready. And that was my ambition. My ambition was to do all of that. But when you have as many enemies as me, now my story is a long story. My story is meant for cinema, not necessarily rants on YouTube. So anyways, I'm in downtown Los Angeles. I'm vibing with everything. I'm feeling super creative. I'm bringing everything together. And then like a week into being here, I print out all my screenplays, stacking them up, put them in my backpack. My backpack's heavy as fuck. So then I catch a bus to Rodeo Drive, and I get off, and I'm a little lost. I'm walking around carrying all my bags. This is before I had that my gut style luggage. I had my backpack, and I had like a duffel bag strapped to the bottom, and a bunch of Dollar Tree bags. I mean, before the pandemic, you had to pay to get on the bus. And because I didn't really have that much money, it was either ride the bus or eat. I decided I'm gonna eat. So I would walk miles from the downtown library to two different Dollar Trees. The one off Pico and the one off South Alvarado. Sweating, like just dropping plenty of pounds. And after I got my fill of absorbing Los Angeles, being raised by television, you love Los Angeles. So I go to WMEING. I walk through the door. I open it. Nobody's there. I know the address because I wrote a letter to Brad Slater. I push Suite 3. Me happy-go-lucky. I go up to the third floor and I see these two glass doors. And I see a bunch of receptionists. And I'm like... I open it, like I'm trying to get in, and they're like, somebody buzzes me in eventually, and everybody's like looking at me, and the first thing that comes out of my mouth is, "This is gonna be awkward." It was like a cold call. This is like some random bum comes in, nobody knows why. I'm trying to pitch a screenplay to Brad Slater, so I bring a note. I bring a note with what is that called? a query letter. I let them know who I am. I tell them what I'm pitching, why. I read on the internet that Los Angeles is not cutthroat at all. And he says all the rumors and lies are just misconceptions. And I believed it to be true because when I went to New York, you know, everybody say New Yorkers are assholes. Absolutely false. Only the gays are assholes. I went to New York at the time with my girlfriend, the one I consider the love of my life. When I told her I loved her, I had a stroke. Literally, my face, I love you too. Drooling and like paralyzed. Anyways, so here we are, touring New York. We couldn't go to the Statue of Liberty. This was in maybe 2003. This was after the Twin Towers fell. So everything was like pretty much like, ugh. Anyways, after doing a little bit of walking, we go by a stoop and my marijuana senses were tingling. And I'm like, and the dude noticed it. And the dude who's smoking, and he's like, hey, you smoke weed? You want to smoke? And I'm like, I go to my ex-girlfriend. I used to call her Little Mama. I used to be like, Little Mama, can I go smoke? And she was like, yeah, go ahead. I go over there. I'm like, yeah. And he's like, here, man. And I'm like, thanks. Man, what they say about you guys is wrong. He's like, yeah, we like to break that stereotype. Oh, it's all the weed heads. That's why. I'm sitting there smoking. Thanks, man. That was great. Hey, man, enjoy New York. He's like, be careful with that sticker. Oh, it just says, hello, my name is SpongeBob. My name is not SpongeBob. It's Jonathan. The best smoothie I ever had, New York City. New York City? Hell yeah, New York City. You'll find anything great in New York. New York is like the mind of the country. Now that I know that what Los Angeles has become, Los Angeles is the asshole, Florida's the penis, Texas is the heart, and Washington State is the soul. The heartland, ironically enough, is the hands and feet. Go to any farmer and ask them if they're the heart or the hands and the feet. And they're going to be like, we're the hands and the feet. So anyways, now I'm in New York now. I'm in New York. But I was talking about LA and stereotypes. So let me just get back to where I was going. So here I am in this luxurious office, in this luxurious building. I mean, mind you, I got freshened up, I got clean, so I'm not like stinky and I'm not like dirty and shit. I'm looking fresh enough, smelling great, smelling like cool water, smelling like high school. So I'm sitting here talking to all these receptionists, and all of the women don't know what to say, and I'm just babbling on. That's not how things work. And then salmon tie, the guy wearing the salmon tie, that's one of the good ones. That's one that you have to fight for. So salmon tie, he explains everything, what I have to do to be represented by this company. He doesn't give me a no. He gives me an explanation on how. So I'm like, oh, so I got to build my name and my reputation. Not a problem. I found a great place to be, and I can definitely do that. My will alone will impress you. So I thank them for their time. I don't know why I just didn't dump out all my screenplays and just ran away. I should have, but the thing is that in Florida, they don't give you any help. You get food stamps, but you don't get no medical. You don't get no money. That's for the women, that's for the children. And I wanted to register my screenplays, but my family wouldn't take the time to read any of them. I need money to register this with the Writers Guild of America. Can you guys help me out? I was like, no, here's $20. Go buy some weed. Like, can I borrow $20 so I can buy some weed? Divorced. Haven't seen my kid in a long time. Just got hit by a car. I know who did it. It was my evil stepfather. Ran my ass down. And my evil stepbrother, who called me when I got hit. But digressing from that, it's a different story, different day. I mean, they took away my jumping leg. But God prepared me for it. This is my bad leg, but if you want me to kick you with it, I will. You're much softer than a steel pole or a concrete pillar. Just saying. Just saying. So here I exit with smiles. I didn't get the no I was looking for. I went there to get a no. But I left there with instruction. So I'm like, damn, I got a journey ahead of me. I think I have to slow everything down. So as I'm leaving, I look up at the camera and I go through my backpack. I remove all of my screenplays. And I put the query letter back in because they don't accept cold anything. Nothing cold. You better go in there with a stack of cash, being like, hey, I'm ready to drop this right there. You drop that shit right there. So I don't get the no, but I'm happy that I participated. I'm happy I got further than most people would. How many people just waltz right into WME and speak to the receptionist? Especially a homeless guy from Miami. But the thing is that, ironically enough, I went to WME with the Miami branch. And I called them trying to get anything going. They were very rude. We don't accept anything cold. Little did I know that they closed down that branch. But that branch was literally 15-minute walk from my sister's house. So I'm like, damn, I should have came here with 1 instead of 5. And everything was great. I chilled in Skid Row. I did what I had to do, despite everything. I'm like, okay, I didn't sell any screenplays, but let me go pitch this show. I mean, all it is the Ultimate Fighter for amateurs. And instead of winning a contract, you win sponsorship. It's called UFC Spar. I also have another show to pitch, but that's not now's not the time. So here I am, ready to venture out to a different city I've never been to, but I always plan ahead, so I'm familiar with the area of Glendale. I didn't really know it much, and when I eventually got here, because when I mind you, I walk everywhere I go, for the most part. I'll catch the bus when it's convenient, if it's convenient, or if I don't have the energy to. So I walk from downtown LA to Glendale, not knowing anything. I just lose my phone. I found this amazing shirt that says, "God's got my back." No, hey man, I got your back. There it goes. Hey man, I got your back. It was 2 stick figures, and one of the stick figures took the straight line representing the back. And I thought the shirt was so awesome that I was listening to music, I put my phone down, looked at the shirt, and just walked away. Go figure, right? So here I am, I lost my phone. I'm like, damn. I gotta figure out how to get to Glendale. So I use my laptop. My laptop worked. At that time, the laptop worked, but didn't have the internet. So I couldn't just go to MapQuest and be like, Google Maps. Two different things. I know. So I write down the instructions, and it's dark, and I'm walking around looking for this in one of my notebooks with a bunch of scribbles of ideas, and I missed the street Boudry. I don't know how to pronounce it. And I end up walking to Los Feliz, like 2 hours of me walking, just entertaining myself, singing, just having a grand old time. Sightseeing in the dark. And then I realized, like, man, they said it's like 3 hours or 2 hours. I'm 2 hours in, and I don't think this is Glendale. So I see a random guy, and I'm like, hey, do you know how to get to Glendale? He's like, I don't know how to get to Glendale, but you got to go somewhere that way. I'm like, damn, I got to backtrack everywhere. So I start backtracking, and I end up at MacArthur Park. I'm like, I'm going to rest here because I've been walking for like 4 hours with a backpack full of screenplays, a duffel bag, and some Dollar Tree bags. I snooze a little bit, and I'm looking for signs, and I'm checking through my notebook, and sure enough, I find something like, oh, I got to go in that direction. So I start walking, and I start walking, and I start walking, and I see Filipino Town, and I'm like, oh, I'm home! This is gonna be great! And then I find a baseball cap, and it was hot, so I'm like, whew, and a big R on there. And then I'm walking, and I'm seeing, sightseeing, I'm going up the hill, I'm going down the hill. And I'm walking, I stop at a restaurant. I leave my MMA gloves by accident. I'm like, without knowing, my backpack was open, and I just sat down and I keep going. And then eventually, once I got to Glendale, or to the edge of Glendale, I look at my backpack. I'm like, oh shit, my backpack's open. Nobody told me my backpack's open. Come on, people. So I march all the way back. And sure enough, I find them at where I took a rest at the bottom of the hill. And I'm like, fuck. So I walk back, and then halfway through, I decide, you know what? I need to take a break. So I set up camp. Just before that river. I don't know if it's the LA River or attached to it, but there's a river there. And the buses passed by, so I just sat on that bridge and just like set up shop, dried my socks off, and was waiting to get more strength to march back. I like this. You see, I didn't plan it, but now I'm glad I didn't, because I'm back on track on how I got here. So long story short, because I'm walking, I'm kind of trying to sightsee. I see American flags everywhere. I pass a Checkers. I'm like, whoa, they got Checkers here. I don't have any money, but hey. And then I make it to Harvard. Now, if you know me, you know why I chose Harvard. So here I am at the Glendale Central Library. It's closed, and I'm sitting in the back. They got a plug next to a vending machine, so I plug in, use my laptop. I'm like, I'm here, I made it. I'm getting ready, I'm gonna pitch the show. I pass right by the Glendale Fighting Club. I look inside, I'm looking at all the pictures. I'm like, whoa, it's just like I seen on the internet. And the day I was gonna go pitch it, I went there, nobody was there. I'm like, man, this place is empty. You would expect a renowned MMA gym like this to be like so full of people. They're kicking people out. They're like, get out of here. So I go, but it's a weekday, so I'm not really committed to yay or nay. So as I'm messing around on camera, I'm practicing my 1-inch punch on the pole. I'm just sitting there, bang, trying to make some traction. And then as I'm sitting, I'm like, man, there's a lot of kids here. Like, I didn't realize this was a kid gym. And I'm sitting down waiting to see if the owner of the gym would come. But instead, I'm sitting down and I see a Gracie. I'm like, that dude's a Gracie. I don't know his name, but I know he's a Gracie. And I'm like, oh man, I don't want to take away the time from the kids. And I'm not really here for him. Henner Gracie. Well, I didn't know his name at the time. I knew he was a Gracie. I'm like, that dude is a Gracie. I know it. I can see it. I can feel the energy. I'm just watching him drive on by, and he's like looking at me, wondering why I'm sitting down when he's there to train the kids in jiu-jitsu. What I should have done was not be so stubborn. I didn't remember his name. I should have been like, you, Gracie, can I pitch this show to you? And I didn't because sometimes I say things on the internet that, hey, it's how I feel honestly. And sometimes my honesty is brutal, but it's meaningful. There's significance in it. I'm merely trying to take everybody outside the box. Get out of the box, break the box. Don't do away with it. You could break it, but keep the pieces so you can change the angles and approach. And being an amateur fighter, I was like, I can be the amateur fighter. And if you already have an amateur fighter, I can be their rival. I got my fight journals ready. I mean, if you're watching this, you've probably seen some of my other videos. Fight journals. I'm coming to the 45-minute mark, so I better get ready to wrap this up. So basically this rant was about me getting to where I'm at now and how everything is backwards. Because when I get into further rants, you'll see why I'm just everywhere. Because if you go do your research on the Salem witch trials, you'll see that these girls weren't witches. They were just intoxicated with spirits given to them by corrupted adults so they can do with them as they will. And because there was no next day pill or abortion clinic, you had to burn the evidence. So they tied these girls to stakes, set them ablaze, and drowned them. And I know that's out of the blue, but the points that I was speaking to all tell a picture, a story. Long story short, before I could go back and speak to the owner of the gym, I got into a conflict with the Glendale Central Library. They are the biggest group of degenerates with their prejudice and their discrimination. Literally, I've never seen any library tell an individual you have to put your book back. And they only did that because of me. I put my book back. I know the Dewey Decimal System. I know how to read it. And every time I touched the Tao of Jeet Kune Do, I made sure it went right back just in case someone wanted to read it. Like me. Because in that library, I saw the ugliness of what this place was. I'm talking about there was a secret room next to the bathroom where the toilet paper roll was broken, and it wasn't secured, but if you could always feel the wind blowing. And when I looked in, I had a little flashlight, I looked in and I saw a whole new room that had nothing but some footprints on the floor. And then they had the audacity, "Jonathan, you've been in the bathroom 15 minutes, screaming this at midday during the summer. I got here in April. I made it to Glendale in June 16th. You've been in the bathroom 15 minutes. Get out or we're calling the police." I wasn't even in the building for 10. And I called the police asking them, "Hey, what can I do if some city officials are harassing me?" So they flipped the script on me and got me banned for a day, saying that I was in the bathroom for 45 minutes. But do you think the police are going to do their research? They're going to say, "Hey, can I see the camera?" I mean, we're not going to be prejudiced to opinion when he called and you called. They're not going to do their due diligence to see if what they're doing is correct. They're just going to use something that is so stupid. Professional courtesy shouldn't exist because it creates a bias. You're not in the same profession. You just work for the same city. But now, I'm a resident. And that bias still occurs. To a degree, I'm known now. Now I have a loud mouth. I talk a lot, and everybody listens. And they all try to steal my information. You'll hear everything that I say regurgitated, maybe in a more pristine package, only because they take the time to organize my thoughts where I just leave them at random so I can get something like this, something free, an expression without constraints, boundaries, limitation. I mean, because I can go beyond and bring it all back. Now, my protest was the reason why I couldn't go back, because when they got me banned for 30 days, I protested the library on their discrimination. And I wasn't expecting anything else but people to be aware of who I am, expressing me. And because I protested, I missed the news that Korn and Baby Metal were at the Forum. I would have went over there, been outside listening to the music through the walls. I would have scalped for a ticket. But when you smell something afoul, when something is off and afoot, should something arise, you must intercept, or else. And sometimes you have to get hit. That's the one thing I learned from Mr. Wynn. He says, you're homeless. If you swing first, it doesn't matter. You're to blame. I'm like, no way, this is America. Somebody's gonna hit me, I can intercept them real quick and stop them in their tracks. Like, this is Los Angeles. This ain't America. And he was right. Absolutely right. They've called the police on me 13 times in 1 month. And then that doubled. Made every lie. The security guard who lied about his name the first time I arrived at the library, he planted drugs where I was protesting. And I anticipated that, so I took the drugs with some, what did I use? I used like 2 sticks, and I threw it away in the trash can. Because in the parking lot across, there's cameras. And I'm coming to the 45-minute mark. So what should I say? How should I wrap this up? That's the end of my rant. Should I end with a Bruce Lee quote? Should I stand in close and check to see if I have any boogers? I don't know. I'll figure out a closer. But for now, I'm happy with the rant that I ranted. And this is all fueled by garbage can pizza. Because sometimes you gotta be humble and eat to keep your wealth high. I know this is everywhere. That's my rant. My rant's always everywhere. Always everywhere, through time, back and forth, in and out of space. And I don't even think I'm going to listen to this. I think everything I say, I know. And say something clever. How do I end this rant? Do your due diligence, because no one is going to do it for you. Even if you offer them all that you got, they'll still want more. Be more for yourself, not for a favor, not for a helping hand, not for a push. In a world full of lies, I am the villain that it needs. A superhero.